In the world of the Hadzabe, nature never promises an easy day. The atmosphere across the savannah can change within a single morning. With courage in their hearts, the Hadzabe begin another new day. The bows rest across their shoulders as each handcrafted arrow is given one final inspection before the group leaves the camp. This is more than preparation for a journey to find food. It is a tradition that has remained with the Hadzabe through countless generations, where every step continues a path first walked by their ancestors long ago. The savannah awakens in its own unique way. A gentle breeze moves through the golden grasses. Sunlight gradually spreads across the dry ground. And somewhere in the distance, a flock of birds suddenly rises into the sky. The Hadzabe pause for a brief moment. To many people, it may seem like an ordinary scene. To them, however, nature has just offered another reminder that every movement across this landscape carries meaning. A short time later, the silhouettes of a herd of antelope appear in the distance as they calmly cross the grasslands. The atmosphere becomes more focused, yet there is no sense of urgency. The Hadzabe understand that not every opportunity needs to be pursued. Sometimes, continuing to observe is itself the choice that nature offers to those who are patient enough to wait. No one tries to impose their own rhythm upon the natural world. Instead, they allow the savannah to guide every decision throughout the journey.
Take over power. Take a say, I'm a bizarre as I have to put you away, auntie. Okay, I'll go back in the channel. I'm a young gong.
As the sun climbs higher, the journey brings another unexpected moment. Near a cluster of low shrubs, a warthog quietly searches for food. This time, the group naturally adjusts the way they move. Without a single word, each person instinctively takes the right position. Their coordination is not built on commands but on a deep understanding that has grown through many years of walking the same landscape together. Even more valuable than the journey itself is the enduring spirit of a culture that continues to live on through every step, every experience, and every lesson quietly offered by nature. For the Hadzabe, finding food is not only a way to support the community, but also a way of preserving the spirit of their people across the savannah that has sustained them for thousands of years. If you also appreciate the beauty of the way the Hadzabe live alongside nature rather than trying to control it, leave a like. For the Hadzabe, the journey does not truly end when they return to the camp. The food they have gathered simply marks the beginning of another stage, where skill, experience, and traditions passed down through generations continue to be reflected in every step of preparing the meal. The food is placed in the familiar open space before everyone begins preparing it with great care. Every usable portion is organized according to the needs of the entire group, reflecting a way of life that has developed over countless generations in an environment where every journey to find food depends upon the efforts of the whole community. On the savannah, respect is not expressed through words, but through making thoughtful use of everything nature has provided. Through many generations, the Hadzabe have learned that every day brings different opportunities. Some days they return with a few small birds. On others they encounter antelope. And sometimes the journey concludes with a warthog. Because no one can know what awaits beyond each sunrise, they have developed the habit of preparing every food source with care while avoiding unnecessary waste. This is not only valuable survival knowledge, but also a way of maintaining balance with the land that has sustained them for generations. Watching the activities around the camp, it becomes clear that everyone contributes to the shared meal. No one considers the rewards of the journey to belong to a single individual. As the food is prepared for the entire community, the meaning of the journey extends far beyond simply finding food. It becomes a reflection of generosity, shared responsibility, and the belief that everyone thrives through their connection with one another. The food is placed over the glowing coals and slowly cooks in the gentle warmth of the fire. The preparation remains as simple as their way of life, never elaborate, but always preserving the natural flavors of everything the savannah has provided throughout the day. If the morning journey began with footsteps leaving the camp, the fire is where every experience comes together once again. Stories of the antelope crossing the grasslands, the moment a warthog appeared among the shrubs, and the birds that revealed a new direction gradually blend with the gentle crackling of the firewood. The fire prepares more than the evening meal. It also preserves the memories of the entire community, allowing every journey to become part of a cultural tradition that continues day after day across the African savannah. Now that you have reached the end of today's journey, we would love to hear your thoughts. Share them with us in the comments below. As the scent of wood smoke begins to blend with the afternoon air, the familiar circle around the fire gradually takes shape. After many hours spread across the savannah, every journey comes together once again in the same place. The meal begins without a call or a formal ritual, arriving as naturally as the rhythm of life that has connected this community for countless generations. Each portion of food passes through many hands before becoming part of the shared meal. Within that circle, what is shared is more than the reward of today's journey. It is also the trust that has connected people through countless rainy and dry seasons. Every time a portion of food is passed to another person, it continues a tradition that has never been broken across this landscape. The fire burns quietly, filling the gathering place with the familiar scent of dry wood. The gentle crackling of the fire blends with stories returning from the savannah.
타고 나니 처음에 아마 꾸미하고 막 처음에 응.
Someone recalls the moment a herd of antelope crossed the open grasslands. Someone else smiles while remembering the signs of a warthog hidden among the low shrubs. Each story is only a small piece of the day, yet together they become part of the shared memory of the entire community. The savanna itself seems to slow as the final sunlight softens across the landscape. The footprints left on the grasslands will eventually disappear beneath the wind, but the memories of the journey remain beside the fire. Day after day and generation after generation, gatherings like these have kept the rhythm of Hadzabe life alive without interruption. What remains after the meal is not simply what nature has provided, but the connection strengthened through every shared moment. The fire warms more than a small clearing in the savannah. It preserves laughter, stories, and the memories of the community, allowing every new sunrise to begin with the same belief that people and nature have always belonged together. Across the vast African savanna, time continues to pass as it has for thousands of years. Yet as long as that fire continues to burn, the heart of Hadzabe culture will continue to thrive in the natural world, reminding us that some of the greatest traditions are not preserved in books or monumental structures, but live on within small circles around a fire where people come together after every journey. They do not rush to move faster. From the very first steps, the feeling of the space is clearly different. Familiar sounds become less frequent, not because everything disappears, but as if they are giving way to a larger presence. Ahead, the ground begins to show clear tracks, deep and consistent. There is no interruption, no attempt to hide. The lion moves in a steady way, and that makes tracking easier, but also creates greater pressure. They stop several times to observe more carefully. The distance between each step remains almost unchanged, and the direction holds steady over time. This is not random movement. The lion is following a clear route, as if it is already familiar with this area. This suggests it may be part of its regular path. As they move deeper, the signs become clearer. Not just the tracks, but the way the surrounding space changes. Some areas feel more open than usual, and other animals seem to avoid this place. This is a recognizable sign when a lion is present. It does not need to appear directly, indirect signs are enough to create change. They begin to adjust how they move. No longer walking in a straight line, they move in wider circles to maintain a safe distance. The wind is checked constantly because even a small shift could reveal their presence. Every step is controlled, not too fast, not too slow, but always calculated. In a softer patch of ground, the tracks become deeper and clearer. They pause longer than usual to observe. From the depth and clarity, it is clear the lion is not moving in a hurry. It walks with a steady rhythm, unaffected by its surroundings. This is common for lions familiar with their territory. A new day begins like any other, and they step into familiar land hoping to find new signs. But the presence of a lion makes them realize this is no longer a normal journey. They do not rush to move faster. From the very first steps, the feeling of the space is clearly different. Familiar sounds become less frequent, not because everything disappears, but as if they are giving way to a larger presence. Ahead, the ground begins to show clear tracks, deep and consistent. There is no interruption, no attempt to hide. The lion moves in a steady way, and that makes tracking easier, but also creates greater pressure. They stop several times to observe more carefully. The distance between each step remains almost unchanged, and the direction holds steady over time. This is not random movement. The lion is following a clear route, as if it is already familiar with this area. This suggests it may be part of its regular path. As they move deeper, the signs become clearer. Not just the tracks, but the way the surrounding space changes. Some areas feel more open than usual, and other animals seem to avoid this place. This is a recognizable sign when a lion is present. It does not need to appear directly. Indirect signs are enough to create change. They begin to adjust how they move. No longer walking in a straight line, they move in wider circles to maintain a safe distance. The wind is checked constantly, because even a small shift could reveal their presence. Every step is controlled, not too fast, not too slow, but always calculated. In a softer patch of ground, the tracks become deeper and clearer. They pause longer than usual to observe. From the depth and clarity, it is clear the lion is not moving in a hurry. It walks with a steady rhythm, unaffected by its surroundings. This is common for lions familiar with their territory. After some time, a slow movement appears in the distance. Not clear at first, but enough to recognize. A lion is moving across an open space. It does not change speed and shows no reaction to the environment. Each step is firm, maintaining the same rhythm as before. They begin to adjust their positions slowly, avoiding sudden changes. The distance shortens gradually, but always stays within a safe limit. Every movement is based on what they have already observed, with no rush. The moment arrives naturally. There is no clear signal, no obvious sign. Only when everything aligns, they are no longer just observing from the edge, but close enough to take control of the situation. If you think this moment was controlled, watch our hippo encounter where everything changes in seconds. Do you think you would notice a lion before seeing it? Comment what sign you would trust the most. No one announces the start, but everything shifts into a different rhythm. After a long journey, the atmosphere is no longer tense, but focused and organized. They choose a flat area, open enough to observe the surroundings, and each person naturally takes their familiar position. No instructions are needed, a quick glance is enough to understand each role, and the process continues smoothly. The food is handled in the simplest way possible. No unnecessary steps, no complex actions. Each part is arranged in order of use. What is needed first is placed closer, what is kept is set aside. The method does not change much over time, but it is always slightly adjusted based on real conditions such as wind, light, and space. The heat is used flexibly, not fixed in one place. Instead of focusing everything in one spot, they create multiple heat zones, each serving a different purpose. Some parts are placed closer for faster change, others are kept at a distance for a slower process. This prevents everything from happening at once and keeps a steady flow. Some focus on constant small adjustments, not to create big changes, but just enough to keep everything in the right state. Others observe the overall process, making sure nothing is overlooked. There is no interruption between steps, everything moves like a continuous flow.
Thế. Thế. Khẩu trèo mà. Kau dah kuat peramu. Kata taya mana koti, enak bisu kosu cita makoti. Salam sama enak tapi nak berkomani.
The difference is not in the method, but in how they sense timing. No one looks at a clock, no one counts time. Everything is determined by small changes, from color to stability. When a part reaches the right state, it is taken out immediately, with no delay. The surrounding space becomes more stable. Small sounds return, and the wind moves gently through the trees. They no longer need to observe constantly, but awareness remains. This is not complete rest, but a balance between working and observing. The aroma spreads slowly, not suddenly, but enough to mark the progress. It is not just a sign of completion, but part of the environment, blending into the space. No one talks about it, but everyone notices. The finished parts are brought out and arranged neatly. There is no excess and no shortage. Everything stays at just the right level for the moment. The rest continues to be maintained, always ready when needed. If you like this endless flow of how they cook, hit like. The food is not served all at once. It appears in small waves, continuing one after another. One person receives first, another later, but without imbalance. There is no clear beginning or end, only a continuous flow that become part of. No one sits down immediately. It starts with scattered movement, each person in a different position but still within the same space. There is no clear circle or arrangement, yet over time, the distance between them naturally closes. They begin moving early, while the traces are still clear on the damp ground. Large footprints appear continuously, deep and heavy, showing that the hippo passed through this area not long ago. Without speaking, they understand that the target is very close. The distance is not far, but not enough to be careless. Their pace remains steady, not too fast, not too slow, as a way to maintain control with every step. They do not follow the tracks directly. Instead, they adjust their direction, keep their distance, and look for a better position to observe. With a hippo, approaching head-on always comes with many unpredictable factors. So they prioritize visibility, choosing a path that allows them to observe before getting closer. Every step is calculated, avoiding unnecessary disturbances in the surroundings. Signs continue to appear, not just in one place but scattered throughout the area. Disturbed patches of ground, fresh impressions, all indicate that the hippo is still moving somewhere nearby. The space feels quiet, but that very silence makes everything harder to predict. There is no clear movement, yet it feels like nothing is truly still. A low sound echoes briefly but clearly, causing them to stop immediately. There is no rushed reaction, only observation. A fleeting sign appears and disappears quickly, enough to confirm that the hippo is not in a fixed position. It moves, but not in an obvious direction. This makes the approach more complex, forcing them to adjust how they track it. They continue moving, but slower than before. No longer following the tracks directly, they shift to observing subtle changes in the environment. Any sign, no matter how small, could help pinpoint the hippo's position in the moment. Time passes, and the signs become clearer, though still not entirely consistent. The hippo appears in an elusive way. Not as a clear presence, but through brief movements, fleeting moments that appear and vanish. Sometimes closer, sometimes farther, constantly shifting the distance. There is no fixed point, no clear direction. This requires patience and restraint, avoiding pressure until the right moment appears. Then a small change occurs. This movement is slower, slightly clearer, not lasting long but enough to create a brief opportunity. They begin to move, each step steady and controlled, avoiding attention. The distance gradually closes, while still maintaining a safe margin. Everything happens under control, with no unnecessary motion. When the right moment comes, they do not hesitate. Every action is quick and decisive, making full use of that short window. No delay, no doubt. Everything is carried out with the highest precision in a very short time. If you have watched the previous buffalo tracking, that moment shows a completely different approach when things become more unpredictable. If you find this journey interesting, leave a like to support upcoming content. They begin right after stopping. No waiting, no lengthy preparation. The carried portions are placed down neatly, and each person quickly moves into familiar tasks. No discussion, no clear division. Every action flows as if it had already been arranged. One person gathers suitable dry branches, selecting sizes that catch fire easily. Smaller pieces are placed first, then larger branches are added layer by layer. The fire is not started in a rush, but controlled from the beginning. When the first sparks appear, they are kept steady, not allowed to flare up too quickly. At the same time, other parts are prepared in parallel. Each step is clean and efficient, with no excess. There are no complex tools, yet everything is done with precision. The process follows a familiar sequence, from arranging to preparing, all flowing smoothly. The fire becomes more stable as the dry branches burn evenly. The heat is maintained at a moderate level, not too strong, not too weak. They continuously adjust, adding small branches when needed to keep the fire steady throughout. Prepared portions are brought closer to the heat step by step. Nothing is placed all at once, but in order, ensuring even handling. Each person holds a small role, with no overlap or interruption. The space is not noisy, but always active.
Naman loko wata kok tata kok dangir sa bita
Smoke begins to rise lightly, not thick, just enough to signal that everything is on the right track. A familiar scent gradually appears, blending naturally into the air. There are no sudden changes, only a steady transition as everything reaches a stable state. They do not remain still. Throughout the process, small adjustments are constantly made. When needed, they shift position, turn, or add necessary elements to keep everything on track. No step is skipped, no matter how small. As the work nears completion, they gradually reduce intervention. The fire is still maintained, but no longer needs as much adjustment. Movements become fewer and lighter. Everything has entered the final stage, where stability is all that is needed. There is no clear signal marking the end. Everything finishes naturally as the final steps are carried out carefully. They check once more, missing nothing, then hold the steak briefly. What do you think about the way they cook in nature? Share your thoughts in the comments below. They begin eating once everything is ready, without any specific signal or synchronization. The first movements appear slowly and naturally, as if the moment has arrived on its own. No one rushes, no one waits. Each person keeps their own pace, yet everything blends into a shared rhythm. They sit close, keeping a familiar distance, enough to share but not too close. The food is divided simply, without clear differences. Each person takes a portion naturally, without words or arrangement. This is not an organized act, but a habit formed over time.
go commissions.
Oh, go up.
Cuma ulah mana? Oh, cool.
The pace of eating is slow and steady. There is no rush, no sense of needing to finish quickly. After everything that came before, this is a moment where nothing needs to be hurried. Every movement remains stable, with no sudden changes or attention drawn. The surrounding space feels lighter. Small sounds still exist, but no longer carry any sense of alert. Instead, they blend into the background, creating a balanced atmosphere. No one speaks much, but there is no need to. The silence is not empty, but steady. They continue eating at their own pace, neither faster nor slower. There is no competition, no unusual change. Everything unfolds as it always has, simple and consistent. Movements repeat, not in a dull way, but in a rhythm that is easy to follow. Occasionally, there are small adjustments in posture or position, but nothing changes the overall flow. They maintain their distance in the way they eat. Nothing breaks this stability, nothing interrupts the rhythm. The fire continues to play its role, unchanged, simply maintaining balance in the surrounding space. Small movements continue, repeating, keeping the rhythm without creating major differences. Everything exists in a balanced state. They continue as they are, maintaining their pace and actions, as if this moment could last longer without change. There is no clear transition, no signal of an ending. Just a sustained state where everything continues in the most familiar way. And if you remember the wild boar journey, that challenge was not only about the target, but also about how they had to constantly adapt. Nothing truly stops after this journey. The traces may fade, but movement continues. This is not an ending story, but part of a series of journeys that are never the same. If you want to keep following moments like these, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next journey could begin at any time. Some cultures are preserved in magnificent monuments. Others are kept alive by a single fire, the stories shared at the end of the day, and a small circle gathered in the heart of nature. It is these simple traditions that have kept the heart of the Hadzabe people beating across the African savanna to this very day. Do not forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover the remarkable way of life of the Hadzabe.